Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. 70-741 Lab 13, determining scenarios and requirements for implementing software-defined networking. Say that 5 times real fast. Okay, so in this lab, we're going to be looking at what are the steps to go about implementing a network controller. And as a note, make sure that if you're going to do this in Windows Server, you need to use a data center edition. You cannot install network controller using standard. It has to be data center. It's not even available. And then finally, what we'll do is we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to be discussing determining the deployment scenarios and requirements for implementing software-defined networking. What are some of the things that are required to be able to do that? In our first exercise, which is implementing our network controller, we'll install that on our LUN-SVR1. The network controller is a Windows Server 2016 server role that provides two application programming interfaces. That's an API. The southbound API and the northbound API. The southbound API is used to communicate with the network, whereas the northbound API gives you the ability to communicate with the network controller. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started. We're going to begin working with our domain controller, and then on our domain controller we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up ADUC, our Active Directory users and computers. And once we're in there, we're going to go ahead, we've expanded our datum.com already. And what we want to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to say new organizational unit, and I'm going to create an organizational unit named IT. We're going to then right click on IT and say new group, and that group name is going to be Network Controller Admins. And we can simply press OK. It's going to be a global security group. What we're going to do is we're going to right click that Network Controller Admins group. We're going to go to Properties. We're going to left click Members. In Members, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Add. And we're going to add the administrator account. Keep in mind we're working in a test environment. And there is our domain and enterprise administrator. Remember, first domain controller, first domain, first in the forest. That administrator account is also an enterprise administrator. Be very careful when you're using that administrator account. It's not good practice to keep that enabled. It's got the keys not only to the castle, it's got the keys to the entire kingdom. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click OK. We're going to create another new group, and that group name is going to be Network Controller Ops. Here again, we're going to go ahead, we're going to right click, we're going to open up the properties for the Network Controller Ops. We're going to select the Members tab, and yes, you guessed it, we're going to add that same administrator account to it. I'd like my students to go ahead and take a screenshot of their screen showing both of the two groups being created. Okay, you got that screenshot. We're moving on. We're done with Active Directory users and computers. We can close that. We're going to jump over to our LUN-SVR1. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to right click and we're going to go run. And it's already there. We're going to do MMC, or Microsoft Management Console. We're going to click OK. We're going to say yes to our prompt. We're going to go File, Add, Remove, Snap-in. We're going to add the certificates for the computer account. Click Next and Finish, and click OK. Let's go ahead and expand our certificates. We're going to select and expand Personal. If there was anything there, there's not. We're going to right click on Personal and say All Tasks, Request New Certificate. We're going to click Next. We're going to click Next again. We're going to wait for it to pull the certificate authority. It's going to take just a few moments. There we are. And we're going to select computer certificate. We're going to select enroll. Here again, it's going to take just a few moments. Should be successful here in just a few seconds. And there it is. If we look at details, we can see what that certificate is for. We're going to click finish. And now we're going to select that certificates folder that's now been created under personal. And here again, I'd like my class to take a screenshot and paste that into step number 30. We can go ahead and we can close that management console. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add our network controller role. We're going to go manage, add roles and features, next, next, and next. And we can see it right there, network controller. If you don't see network controller there, it means you're probably working with server standard. It needs to be data center, as I said earlier in the video. We're going to click next, 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 and install. It's going to take a few moments for that to install, and what I'm going to do, as usual, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the video while that installation runs. Alright, and we're back. Installation has succeeded. We can go ahead and have my class take another screenshot and post that into step number 41. We are done. It's as simple as that, installing the network controller role. This server is now posed to be a network controller. Let's take a look at our lab challenge. In our lab challenge, we're going to answer several questions about software-defined networking. Software-defined networking, SDN. It allows you to centrally configure and manage physical and virtual network devices, including routers, switches, and gateways in your data center. When creating a virtual infrastructure, you will configure Hyper-V virtual machines, Hyper-V network virtualization, and Windows Server Gateway. However, you also need to use and manage physical switches, routers, and other hardware devices, and integrate the virtual devices and physical devices together. So, when it comes to doing this, let's discuss a few questions. When you implement network virtualization using network virtualization generic route encapsulation, that's NVGRE, which two addresses must be assigned to each virtual network adapter? You may want to refer back to your textbook on this. We need to do a CA and a PA, a customer address and a provider address. That's the two addresses that must be assigned to each virtual network adapter. Now, we can extend our network boundary to Microsoft Azure. What feature do you use to extend your network boundary to Microsoft Azure? That's correct, the RRAS multi-tenant gateway. Now, our third question for discussion is, if you want to use software-defined networking, which enterprise data center management system should be used? Well, what would we use in an enterprise to manage our systems? It's the Microsoft System Center. Now, keep in mind that that has changed names over the years, right? I mean, at one time it was System Center Configuration Manager, it was System Center, it was Config Manager. For our discussion, Microsoft System Center is just fine. In the Software Load Balancer, that's the SLB, which feature evenly distributes tenant and tenant customer network traffic among the virtual network resources? Well, it's the name of the feature itself. SLB, yes. Software load balancing is the feature that evenly distributes tenant and tenant customer network traffic among your virtual network resources. And finally, what feature do we use to map virtual IP addresses to dynamic IP addresses? Well, it's the same as our previous question, software load balancing. That is the feature that maps virtual IP addresses to dynamic IP addresses. Now, I know this was a very brief lab, but it's got some important concepts to master within it. I thank you for viewing this video. I hope you found it informative. As always, if you like my videos, please subscribe. And as I say, I'll see you in the next lab or lesson. Take care.